Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. Om Akhandananda Sambodha Bandhanat Yasya Jayate Govindam Tamaham Vande Chidananda Tanum Gurum. So yesterday we were seeing that the Guru is starting to explain to the disciple about the creation. How do you do that? How do you establish the self? You cannot establish the self as this, because if you are going to refer to the self as this, if you are going to point it out as this, then it becomes a idam or I am, which is an object. Self is not an object. Self is the subject. So then how are you going to establish the self? Self cannot be established. Then how are you going to teach the Vedanta? Adhyaropa apapadabhyam nishprapancham prapanchate. Through the superimposition and desuperimposition. So when you desuperimpose whatever is superimposed, then the self shines in its own. Now, how did the superimposition take place? To explain that, we have to go through this. Otherwise, what we have to do is to do the desuperimposition. That's all. But for doing the desuperimposition, we have to understand how the superimposition took place. So for that, he is starting now to explain what is adhyaropa, adhyasa or adhyaropa, whatever it is. That's not really matter. It's all synonymous. Vastunyavastvaropaha yasodhyaropaitīryate asarpabhute rajvado sarpatvaropanam yatha. He explained vastuni avastu aropaha. Yes, in Brahma Sutra he said ataspin tadbuddhi ityavochama. Ataspin tadbuddhi. In not that, the idea of that it is what is a superimposition, adhyasa. And here he says vastuni avastu aropaha. In the subject, in the self, superimposition of whatever is not. That is what is called as adhyaropa. Okay, like in the non-snake rope, superimposing the attributes of snake and attributes of snake. That is what is called as a superimposition. Okay. Now, earlier we saw vastu and avastu. We established vastu means object, thing normally, but here vastu means self. Where did you come to that conclusion from? So he says, vastu tāvatparaṃ brahma satyajñānādilakṣaṇam idamāropitaṃ yatra bhāti nīlatādivat. Vastu tāvatparaṃ brahma satyajñānādilakṣaṇam idamāropitaṃ yatra bhāti nīlatādivat. Idamāropitaṃ yatra bhāti. Vastu tāvat satyajñānādilakṣaṇam. What is vastu? Vastu tāvatparaṃ brahma. Vastu is that absolute self. What is absolute self? Satyajñānādilakṣaṇam. What is vastu? Satyajñānādilakṣaṇam. What is vastu? Satyajñānādilakṣaṇam. What is Brahman? Satyajñānādilakṣaṇam. That which is defined as a satyam jnanam anantam. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. Satyam jnanam anantam vastu. They are both same. Vastu is that which has the inherent nature of existence, knowledge, bliss. Okay? Now, idamāropitaṃ yatra bhāti. This superimposed, wherever that shines, whatever is superimposed, that wherever it shines, like that is what is vastu. Whatever is superimposed, in whichever that superimposed shines, that is what is vastu. In whichever, that substratum, that is what is vastu. Like nīlatādivat, kha akasha. Kha means akasha, space, ether. Nīlatādivat, like the blue, etc., blueness, etc. Beautiful example this is. Why is this beautiful example? See, superimposition, we know. Give me an example for superimposition. Rope snake. Immediately, mother of pearl silver. Immediately, we don't need to think twice. Or marumarichika, your mirage water. You don't have to think about it. We immediately know what is superimposition. Example for superimposition. But he's giving a beautiful example here. Nīlatādivat, like the blue, etc., in the space, in the ether. So this is the important point. See, space does not have blueness. There is no blue color in space. That which you see as blue, etc., is due to refraction, etc., which was established by Sir C.V. Raman. He got a Nobel or whatever, but even before that, we have that in our old text. Whatever we are establishing, trying to establish in science, we have already. You say gravity. Gravity, that fellow, he ran naked saying Eureka because he understood gravity. Idiot. You should have studied Tarka Sangraha. Simple. Any logic text. Gurutva, Karshna Shakti, we have established it already. So all that you are teaching us in new through new names, that's all. We already know that. You are saying, no, you don't know. Let me teach. And you teach us through new names, through new definitions, that's all. Not new definitions, through new names. So in new language, that's the only difference. So the thing is satyajñānādilakṣaṇam, that now we come to the space ether. Why is this example beautiful? This space which you see, when the moment you point out your finger towards the sky, saying towards the sky means pointing your finger upwards. That is the most stupidest thing. When I ask where sky is, if you point out there, then that is the most stupidest answer. Because what is akasha? Avakasha pradṛśyate akasham. Akasha means that which gives space. That which gives space for existence of things. That is what is called as, that is the definition for akasha, space. So from that small gap between two sand particles, there the space exists, the sky exists. You are standing in this space. Without even understanding that, you point out to your finger the blueness which you see. That blue thing which you see, that is the sky. And there is in Brahma Sutra, Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, bālaha talamalinādi drishyante. The kids, they see the sky having a ceiling or color, etc., impurity, etc. It is impossible for the sky to be associated with the space, to be associated with any of this color or impurity or surface, etc., because it is attributeless. That is what makes this example beautiful. Rope has an attribute. You are just replacing it with another attribute of snakeness. That's all. Mother of pearl has an attribute. You are replacing it with another attribute called silver and silverness. That's all. But here, in the attributeless space, we are superimposing color, surface, etc. Because wherever we superimpose something, like we superimpose rope on snake or snake on rope, whichever, does not really matter. The thing is, there is a similarity. I don't superimpose. I keep repeating. I don't superimpose mother of pearl, the snake in mother of pearl, or rope in, or the silver in rope. No. For the superimposition to take place, I have something common in both. There should be a commonality. There should be a similarity in both. That is how we understand. Because we cannot paint something. If you want to paint something, you have to have a canvas. Only on canvas, anything, whether it's a cloth or it's a wall or something, you should have to have some substrate, some base for painting. You cannot paint on this space. No, I say you are a good painter. Okay, you paint on this space. You cannot paint. You have to have a background, base. So this example fits the bill here for the exemplified. The self is attributeless. On the attributeless self, you superimpose the attributes of the world. How can the attributeless be superimposed with attributes? If you ask that question, like the space, that's the answer. The space is attributeless, but we superimpose the color, the surface, etc. Similarly, self is attributeless. There we superimpose the creation. Because this is such a beautiful thing. In the introduction of Brahma Sutra, he says, he begins by saying, Yushmadasmat pratyagocharayoho vishi vishinoho tamah prakashavat viruddha subhavayoho. This is how it starts, the first line. Yushmadasmat pratyagocharayoho. Pratyaya means knowledge. Gocharayoho means which is understood. Which is understood through the knowledge of you and I. Yushmad, you, asmad, I. You is a what and I is what? Vishaya vishayinoho. You is always Yushmad. You is always object. I is always the subject. Okay. Tamah prakashavat viruddha subhayoho. They have contradictory nature like darkness and light. You is darkness and I is a light always. So, such a contradiction, but there is a superimposition possible. Itretra bhāvānupatti siddhāyām, though there is no possibility of any superimposition on each other, but still there is a superimposition taking place. That is the beauty. So, what is the cause for that? He says, tatkāraṇaṃ yadajñānaṃ sakāryaṃ sadvilakṣaṇam avastvityucyate sadbhiryasya bādhā pradṛśyate tatkāraṇaṃ yadajñānaṃ sakāryaṃ sadvilakṣaṇam avastu iti uchyate sadbhiryasya bādhā pradṛśyate. Yadajñānaṃ sadvilakṣaṇam, the ajnana which is different from existence, sadvilakṣaṇam which is different from existence, sakāryaṃ kāraṇam which is the cause as well as endowed with the effect. That which is endowed with the effect and the cause, tat avastu iti sadbhihi uchyate. That is what is called as avastu. That ajnana is what is called as avastu. The ajnana which is different from existence is called as avastu. That ajnana which is both in the form of a cause and effect, that is called as avastu. You have to understand this very clearly, because in many places how they teach is teaching. They say they teach Vedanta, but the problem is they say the ignorance is the cause and adhyasa, superimposition, is the effect. This is the most stupidest way to explain. They explain this because of lack of understanding or lack of methodology to explain. Otherwise, it is impossible. Ignorance and superimposition are not in the cause and effect relationship, and it cannot be in cause and effect relationship. Why? Let me explain. I say I superimpose a pot. The pot is 3 feet high, little bigger, don't worry. The pot is 3 feet high, and that has a red color, and in which there is beautiful painting done. So all that along with the pot, its height, its color, its design, everything is superimposed. It's all ignorance. So what is the possibility of superimposing ignorance on ignorance? It's all ignorance, basically. Boils down to ignorance. So ignorance is superimposition. Superimposition is ignorance. There is no cause and effect. If there is ignorance, if there is superimposition, there is ignorance. If there is ignorance, there is superimposition. There is no escape from that. So he says that is sadvilakṣaṇam. It is different from sat. We'll come to this later in the next shloka. Yasya bādhā pradṛśyate, for which bādhā is seen. Pradṛśyate, nicely seen. Bādhā. What is bādhā? There are two words, bādhā and nivritti. Bādhā is annihilation. Nivritti is negation. Understand this. I don't see any difference. Okay, because annihilation and negation, you don't see it as different. That's why. But let me explain this. Bādhā means where the cause also gets negated along with the effect. That is called as bādhā. Where cause and effect both are removed. That is called as bādhā. Where only the effect is removed, that is called as nivritti. Understand? If I am going to break a pot, Only the pot, name and form gets destroyed, not the clay, the cause. The cause remains. Therefore, when the cause remains, that is called as nivrutti, negation. When the cause and effect both are removed, the cause and effect both are removed, that is called as a bādhā. We use the term bādhā samānādhikaranya to establish the annihilation of creation. Bādhā samānādhikaranya means at the place wherever you saw the creation, at that very same place, you are going to negate it. The same creation as you see is going to be negated. We will do that later. So, what is that avastu? He says, avastu tatpramāṇairyadbādhyate śuktiraupyavat na bādhyate yattadvastu triṣu kāleṣu śuktivat śukterbādhā na khalvasti rajatasya yathā tathā. What is vastu and what is avastu is explained in very simple terms. Tad yad pramāṇaihi bādhyate tad avastu. That which is negated through the, yet that which is annihilated through the, removed through the pramāṇa, the means of right knowledge, that is called as avastu. If you remove something through pramāṇa, through the means of right knowledge, that is called as avastu. Like śuktiraupyavat, like the mother of pearl silver. The mother of pearl silver, the silver is negated in all three periods of time. You cannot say it existed now because simple logic. Ādavanta vinnāsti madhyepi tatthā. Whatever didn't exist in the past, whatever didn't exist in the future, does not exist even now. Whatever didn't exist in the past, whatever will not exist in the future, does not exist now. Otherwise, you will say, oh, it was there, search properly. I kept it here, it was there. If it was existent, then it should be existent even now. So, the snake never existed in the past. The snake will never exist in the future. So, the snake does not exist in the present also. Simple logic. That negated, whatever is negated in all the three periods of time is called as a avastu. That which gets negated in all three periods of time is what is called as avastu. Okay. Now, like the mother of pearl silver. Yad na bādhyate. That which cannot be negated in all the three periods of time, that is called as vastu. That which has existence in all three periods of time, which cannot be negated in all three periods of time, is called as vastu. Satyam. That which is does not have any existence and which is negated through the pramāṇa is called as avastu. Mithya. Okay. Now, śukterbādhā no khalvasti. There is no possibility of the negation of annihilation of the mother of pearl. But only the silver gets negated. Superimposed gets negated. The substratum never gets negated. Okay. Now, avastvityucyate yattajjagadadhyāsakāraṇam sadasadbhyāmanirvācyamajñānaṃ triguṇātmakam vastu avadbodhaika bādhyam tatbhāvalakṣaṇam. Now, it's a beautiful shloka. He is explaining the cause for the creation. Avastusaṃjñitaṃ yattat jagadadhyāsakāraṇam sadasadbhyāmanirvācyam ajñānaṃ triguṇātmakam vastu tattva avabodha eka bādhyam tad bhāvalakṣaṇam. Yad avastusaṃjñitaṃ, that which is called as avastu, tad jagadadhyāsakāraṇam, that is what is the cause for the superimposition of the creation, jagat. What is that? Tad ajñānam, that is what is ignorance. Tad avastusaṃjñitaṃ tad ajñānam, that which is called as avastu, which is ignorance, which is the cause for all the creation. What is that? Sadasadbhyāmanirvācyam. What is the definition for that avastu? Sadasadbhyāmanirvācyam. It cannot be negated, it cannot be established as sat, it cannot be established as asat, it is inexplicable. sadasadbhyāmanirvācyam. This is the definition Bhagavan Bhashyakara uses in the Bhashya also. Sadasabhyāmanirvācyam or sadasabhyamanirvachaniyam. That is how you use. Vācyam and vachaniyam. Vācyam yat pratyaya, the suffix changes. Vachaniya. There, it's anir pratyaya. That's another suffix. So only the suffix difference. There is no difference in the meaning. This is what here later and in the Vivek Chudamani also I have quoted. He will say sannapi asannapi ubhayatmikano bhinnapi abhinnapi ubhayatmikano, etc. So it cannot be qualified to be called a sat, existence, because it doesn't exist in the past or future. Then it cannot be also qualified as non-existent because you are experiencing it now. Can it be called as both? No, because existence and non-existent cannot coexist. Then what is that? You cannot explain that. That's why we call it inexplicable, anirvācyam. That which cannot be qualified to be called as existence, that which cannot be qualified to be called as non-existence, which is inexplicable. That is the definition for ajnana, ignorance. Now, if it is not explicable, then does not exist. That is a stupid logic. Okay. Guruji, I have a headache. Oh, good. What good? Just explain what is headache. How much headache you have? What kind of headache? What is that ache actually? Can we explain any of these? No. If you cannot explain, then you don't have headache. Simple. Is it possible? No. So there are things which cannot be explained but exist. Similarly, here it cannot be explained but it exists. It cannot be called as existence also that here. And that is why he says vastu tattva abhavodha ekabādhyam. It can be negated only through the knowledge of vastu, means self. Only the self can negate the ignorance, nothing else. Only the knowledge of self can negate the ignorance, nothing else can negate the ignorance. And bhāva-lakṣaṇam, it is of the nature of existence. Now this we have to understand. It is of the nature of existence does not mean it is existence. See, if it is existence, then you cannot negate it. Na bhāvo vidyate satah. Existence cannot be negated. And if it is non-existence, then there is no need for removing it. Existence cannot be removed. Non-existent need not be removed. Then what is that? It is of the nature of bhava, existence. You said just now something. Let us understand. Some people don't want to accept the existence of a whole thing. So they say this is false, this is mithya. Therefore, the definition for ignorance is abhava, non-existence. That is most stupidest way of saying ignorance, establishing ignorance. Because you are experiencing it, then what are you doing studying Vedanta? There is no point in studying Vedanta if it is non-existence already. Then what does this bhāva-lakṣaṇa means? Oh, then bhava also has the problem. If it is existent, it cannot be removed. Then what is the point of studying Vedanta? That's a good question also. If you are able to formulate that question, that's a good question. But the problem is, when we say bhava, we don't mean it to refer to existence. What does it refer? What does it mean? It differentiates itself from the non-existence. Bhāva-lakṣaṇa means which is not abhāva-lakṣaṇa. That's all. It is different from abhāva-lakṣaṇa. Abhāva-lakṣaṇa bhinna is bhāva-lakṣaṇa. What does bhāva-lakṣaṇa means? To differentiate it from abhāva-lakṣaṇa. That's all. To differentiate it from non-existence, we say it is existence. Because it is experience at this point of time. Now, I see the world. Therefore, I cannot say it as an absence. So, I call it bhava and differentiate it from absence. That's all. So, vastu tattva avabodha eka karyam. It can be negated only through the knowledge of the vastu tattva, the knowledge of the substratum, the self. And trigunātmakam, it is of the nature of three qualities. No, three qualities. What are these? Triguṇātmaka. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. How can you say the self is the ignorance of the nature of three qualities? We cannot say the ignorance of is because we cannot decipher something which we cannot put it under the board to understand what it is. See, the thing is, ignorance cannot be seen through any pramana. It can be experienced, it can be established through pramana, but still, that which is non-existence, how can you explain it? As Triguṇātmaka. Simple. The effect is Triguṇātmaka. Whatever you see in this world is either sattva, rajas or tamas. Mixture of, not purely sattva or purely tamas. It is mixture of, the gradation is different, but sattva, rajas, tamas is the nature of the creation. So, if the nature of the effect is sattva, rajas, tamas, the cause should also be sattva, rajas, tamas. That is how we call it tad Triguṇātmakam. It is of the nature of three attributes, three qualities. What is that? Sattva, rajas, tamas. What is ajnana? Tad ajnanam Triguṇātmakam. That ignorance is of the nature of three qualities. Now, we have to understand tad ajnanam. Here he says is just that ignorance. And when you use the word avidya for ajnana, they are synonyms again. So, if you say it as avidya, then we will say sa avidya, not tad avidya. Sa avidya. She is avidya. Some people stupidly translate it as she. But there also you have to translate it as dat. But why then you are using the feminine case, sa avidya? It is to show that the ignorance has the quality to give birth to this creation. To give birth, prasava dharmi, to give birth is the inherent nature of the woman. So that is why it is in feminine case. Sa avidya. No, you should not translate it as she is avidya. Never, don't do that. Avidya is a ignorance. Ignorance is a, it cannot be qualified to be called as existent and non-existent. Then how can you call it as a she and he? It is that, that's all. You understand? So that avidya, that ajnana is a it cannot be qualified as existence, it cannot be qualified as non-existent, it is inexplicable. That avidya is of three qualities. That avidya is of the nature of three qualities. That avidya is that which can be only negated through the knowledge of the substratum, the self. That avidya which is different, which is of the nature of bhava, means different from abhava, non-existence. That is what is the cause for the jagat. That is what is established here. We will see this. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.